Hello, I'm Michele Bowman, Director of English as a Second Language program at Cleveland State University. Oftentimes it's either for people looking for work because they need to improve their English, or they're improving their English so that they can move up, they can get that promotion. They need to improve their speaking, or they need to improve their writing skills in English. We have sort of two options in the continuing ed area. As I mentioned to you before, ESL is an umbrella. So we have our intensive English language program that is for international students who are coming over to start their programs but have not achieved the proficiency needed to begin their academic program. Okay. Then we have some courses for students who are already in their program but might need a little support. Sure. And then we have our continuing ed side. So continuing ed tends to be for people who already have their green card, they're new citizens, and or maybe generation 1.5, which is the child of the immigrant, and they need to improve their English for professional or personal goals. Okay. Right? So there's the option of individuals joining a class. Oftentimes it's the pronunciation class. And they seek us out on their own. And we provide courses during the semester. We've run some courses in the summer, but usually it's during a semester. We've not done a virtual option, but it's not off the table. Sure. Okay. We've also done courses on site. So we've worked with companies that have a number of people who need to improve their English, and we work with usually the HR or the managers to decide what are the needs. Is it mainly pronunciation? Do we also need to look at something we call writing for the workplace? And we do a needs analysis. We do a needs analysis for either individuals or groups to see what should our focus be. And so it can be individuals, or it can be customized courses on site for companies. I did start in the classroom only, but gradually moved into some more administrative duties. And when I finished my doctorate at Ohio State, I found a full-time position up in New York State. And that was half administration, half teaching. And I just found that I preferred having that teaching side of things in addition to the administrative, rather than going into research. And probably the most truthful answer is that academia can be a bear. And writing journal articles for the rest of my life was not what I wanted to do. I've always been more focused on the service end, which is where teaching comes in. So even though I'm director now, I still teach. And I'm almost always teaching the graduate students who are teaching assistants, helping them improve their accent. I always try to remind the students that whether they're going into the university or they're in the workforce already, that they're going to run into a lot of different accents, and they will have to adjust. Either they're speaking or they're listening to be able to communicate, because it's a two-way street.
Yep.
And so that's a key point in the classroom, that it is about communication and what is the best way to get to where you want to be in terms of your communication. Yeah, we try. It's not always successful when you're doing your little surveys to get as many responses as you want, but I do hear back from people from time to time. And if it's a group project, we do ask the managers to give us some feedback as well. And so we try to see, are there any suggestions for how something could be done differently? Or they need more of actual pronunciation practice versus just discussion. Well, I was actually in Hudson Valley.
Oh, okay.
So we were in a little college town, and so all the students had to come to us. There were a few companies around that we could work with, but not like Cleveland, where we have not only a large number of immigrants, but we also have a lot of companies around that have employees who speak English as a second language. And so, it's actually a better location to be in a city and to have access to all of those options, and to give those options to the language learners, whether they want to do it on their own or if the company can pull together a group. Very carefully. I obviously don't do this all on my own. We have a program coordinator, and currently we have several part-time instructors who assist in the classroom, but also can give assistance with curriculum. So you mentioned the curriculum before. So in our intensive English language program, which is accredited, that's all set. Our continuing education classes are more flexible. And so I talked about the needs analysis. We can do a recording the first day. See, okay, who's having trouble with these sounds or these vowels, and then put together the type of class that this particular group needs. Give them individual assignments that they can do on their own, and identify the things that they have in common that we do in class.
Right.
So we're not wasting anyone's time. So we tend to go towards a more formal English for the classes, for people who are working and they need to maybe use more polite language. I always let them know, if you hear something on the street or someone says something to you and you want to ask me in class, that's fine. I'll let you know if it's not polite or if it's maybe something that's said among friends and not to your manager. But we lean towards the more formal side so that it's less change. Well, I think business in general has become less formal. So we don't use academic English with the evening classes that we run for pronunciation and such. Now, we may have some business people and they may want to know, okay, well, how do I put that in an email? And we'll say, okay, let's look at the difference between how we would say it and how we would write it. And so it's an opportunity to teach them two different ways of saying the same thing. So we have currently on the books 3 specific courses. One is a lower level pronunciation class that really needs to work at the the sounds, the vowels, the intonation and stress level. And then there's the higher level of people who can speak English, but may need to work on some fine tuning. And then we have the writing for the workplace, which would combine writing, reading, and grammar vocabulary as needed. That's usually done for a specific group and then customized for that group. The other option is when we have groups coming in and we find out from the leaders, what do you want? And these are often groups coming from overseas. So we find out what are their goals. We've had groups come from China and Japan, and they've wanted American culture plus some English. And so there are textbooks that have already been put together about American culture. And so there's a little bit of a reading and discussion they can do in class, and then we plan field trips during the week. So they've gone down to Playhouse Square, or they've gone, if it's a group from, let's see, the one group, it was from maybe a technical type university, and so we found an engineering firm. But they also did a tour over at Cleveland State's College of Engineering, because they have a lot of new hands-on labs. Well, the Japanese group, it's changed over the years. We now have students who are more interested in coming for a semester as like a semester abroad, and so they're joining our intensive program. When they first started, and this was pre-COVID, they came for a week or two. Okay. And we found someone to help with homestay, and they did American culture and some English language. And
are these undergrads?
These were all undergrads. No, they're coming and doing a semester of English.
Wow, okay.
And so they have to decide, okay, do I want to take that semester off?
Right.
And now their school can give them credit
Sure.
for the time. That's what they're thinking. Okay, how can I market my skills in addition to my college degree?
Right.
And by having that semester abroad in the United States, improving my English, and then they get a certificate, then they can use it that way.
Groups?
So it's, yeah, post-COVID, we're still rebuilding.
Okay.
So we could do as many as, it depends on, are they going to stay on campus or are they going to do homestays? We do not provide the homestays, but we have some local people who can assist in that side of things. We just refer to it as English as a second language at Cleveland State University, and we are hoping that the Chinese group will come back next summer. So yeah, so I came to Cleveland in 2004 with the idea that I was starting the intensive English language program.
Okay.
So we had to build it from ground up. And I needed to get assistance from the registrar's office, from Treasury Services, housing, dining, and really tell them, okay, we're going to have a different type of student on campus now. How are we going to work this within the system? And we have managed. At one point we had over 150 students in the intensive program. Now we've obviously dropped because of COVID, but we are rebuilding. There is a group on campus called Cleveland State Global that works on the intake and is helping us. Generally, our continuing ed course is shorter than the semester. I don't like to do shorter than 10 weeks. I tell, especially if it's a group, I tell the managers, you're not going to see any difference if you only have me seeing them once a week for a couple of hours. It's not enough time. So we have built in a 10-week course, and for 2 hours, and that has seemed to be working so far. However, with customized courses, we can do it for as long as they want. We can do shorter sessions with the idea that we're continuing. Well, they have a survey to fill out, and I sometimes ask them in class, and then I say, well, you'll get an anonymous one later, so that anything you don't feel comfortable talking about now, you can put into that anonymous survey and send it back. Just like the regular university students do for their courses, we do the same with our continuing ed courses. great question. So our classes are English as a second language, not English as a foreign language. So think when you studied a foreign language in high school, it was mostly in English, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you learned and you could do a little bit in that language, but it was always back and forth.
Right.
If I teach overseas, and I taught in Spain for a year, I taught mostly in Spanish. I tried. But they were more advanced students. And here in the United States, where they are surrounded by the culture, the language, the instruction is done in English. Now, we do have elementary through advanced levels. We will have oftentimes multiple languages among the students. And so if they don't understand, they should be asking the teacher, but sometimes they'll ask their neighbor. But sometimes we will have a monolingual class. And it's sometimes easier for them that way. They're all learning the same thing. And when they're doing homework, they have a chance to figure things out. But English as a second language, by definition, is teaching in English where the students are surrounded by the language and the culture.
Very cool. And when they complete that, they get a certificate.
So the continuing ed one is merely a certificate of completion. Students have asked me for reference letters to say how much they improved, and I'm very happy to do that. The classes that are for the academic students are actually graded, and that's because it is an accredited program, and so they have to have certain grades to pass from one level to another, or to pass from the intensive English language program to their academic program.
And what would be?
All of our instructors are, they either have a master's or higher in English or English as a second language, education with TESOL, okay, is teaching English to speakers of other languages. So you might hear ESL, but then you might hear TESOL. And so they have the experience. My current teachers probably have 12 to 15 years experience. And when we're hiring new people, we try to get people who do have at least 3 years experience with adults, and preferably in the skill that they're going to be teaching. So that's the first benefit, that we have experienced teachers with the degree. The second benefit is, as you said, it's coming from Cleveland State University, that is well known in the city, and a lot of people who go to Cleveland State stay in Northeast Ohio. And so there are people out in these companies that would recognize, oh, you did this at Cleveland State. Oh, that's my alma mater. And so there's a connection right there. Well, I would like to see more companies providing their new employees with some of that support. We're happy to do proposals. And we do the proposal free of charge for the company and outline, what do you think the needs are? This is what we could do. And if you're willing to support your employees, then you don't have to train new people. It goes back and forth, and it really depends on the economic climate. Does the business recognize the value of doing that? Are they able at this time? So I go back to places that I've done proposals for in the past, say, well, how do things look now? Would you like to run a class on site for your employees? It runs the gamut. I've had teachers from a private school that are teaching science, but teaching it in English, their second language. I've had people in offices of some of our big companies in Cleveland wanting to improve their accent so that they can then apply for that next job, that next promotion. And I just this past semester, I had a nun and
From where?
from trying to think from Africa.
Awesome.
And I can't think of the country right now, but there was another gentleman from Africa, and he was doing some nonprofit work, but he needed to improve his conversational skills. I'm helping people. I come from a family of educators. And I used to say, oh, I'm never going to be a teacher, and found out that it's the best job in the world. Because you can see the results of you're helping someone. You see them grow. Oftentimes you see their confidence grow as much as their language skills, and that's exciting. Oftentimes, they're not speaking because they're afraid of making a mistake. And so part of the class is make the mistake. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Make those mistakes in a safe spot with me or with one of my teachers so that we can help you, and then you'll feel more confident at your job. We have a web page, and it's going to Cleveland State University webpage and then just searching ESL. It'll take you right there. But oftentimes people just call the university and ask for ESL.